The Soviet Union was the only country where women served as fighters in World War II. In June 1941, when Germany invaded the Soviet Union, the Communist Party included all men as well as women in its conscription. Female snipers played a major role in the German-Soviet war, and there were also women fighter pilots, tankers, and tank platoon commanders. The 46th Guards Night Bombing Squadron run entirely by women, from the troopers to the pilots and mechanics. 23 of the female regiments became Soviet heroes. Other women served in the army. As of 1943, the number of female soldiers in the Soviet army had increased to about 900,000. which was 1/10 of the total number of soldiers in the Soviet army. Other male officers expected women to do the same hard work as men. Female soldiers often volunteered to take on more dangerous jobs to prove to male soldiers that they could do it. In the 1990s, the proportion of women in the US military began to increase, which was due to the great performances of women in the Gulf War. In the 1990s, due to the development of technology, female soldiers stood out in cyber warfare and information warfare and contributed to increasing the proportion of female soldiers. In the 21st century, the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant emerged, and the Syrian government, FSA, and Kurds deployed the women in the forefront as fighters and used them as fighters, and their activities became known around the world. Most of the women's armies around the world were formed during the war. The United States recruited women during the war with Spain in 1898, and Israel was also organized during the Jewish Provisional Government and gained fame in the Arab War of Independence. During World Wars I and II, women were limited to only a few positions such as nursing, mainly for the purpose of support for enhancing combat power. Since the 1970s, as the number of military applicants has decreased, female soldiers had been selected as male replacements and mainly used for non-combat missions. In the case of the United States, starting with the establishment of nursing and women's military roles, there are now about 196,000 military women. This is 14.8% of the total U.S. military force, and 39 current generals, including one lieutenant general, are female soldiers. Japan recruited its first female military nursing officers in 1952, and since 1998, all departments, including officers, non-commissioned officers, and soldiers, have been open to women. Although there are still restrictions on some of the tank companies, submarines, and fighters, the number of women in Japan's military is about 10,000 or 4.2% of the total self-defense force. Japan, which produced the first female military general in 2001, is expanding opportunities for women to participate in the self-defense forces under the Equal Employment Opportunity Act for men and women. There are about 90,000 women in the Chinese military, accounting for 3.6% of the total Chinese military. Since the establishment of the Army on August 1, 1927, men have participated in the same way. Chinese women are not assigned to combat units, warships, and as fighter pilots, and are mainly active in non-combat fields such as foreign affairs at schools and research institutes. China also does not open its doors to women at the military academy and Air Force Academy. In 2015, at the 70th anniversary of the founding of China, hundreds of Chinese women's honor guards showed up in an impressive march. The female military honor guard participating in the military parade was made up of female soldiers who were selected based on their height and appearance. Elite women with an average height of 178 centimeters and an average age of 20 were selected. The female soldiers wore red, white, black, and blue uniforms and held a parade in front of Tiananmen Square. In Israel, where 30% of the total military is female, from the time of its establishment to the present, the mandatory service system has been implemented regardless of gender. Female soldiers had been assigned to the combat division since 1999, mainly for administrative and technical positions, and in 2001, the first female combat pilots were produced. The number of Russian military women, well known for holding the Miss Women's contest in March on International Women's Day, is about 120,000 or 10% of the total Russian army. It is known that Russian female soldiers are mainly deployed as rear service personnel for medical, communication, and financial services, but more than 600 female soldiers were deployed in the last Chechnya war. Britain, which prohibits the deployment of women in all operations, established the Royal Women's Corps in 1951. And about 17,000 women, 8.1% of the total army, are active in all branches except infantry and armor. Queen Elizabeth II also served in the military in 1945 when she was a princess and the military uniform was a skirt. Joan of Arc is a French national hero, a Catholic and Anglican saint, and one of the patron saints of France. Joan of Arc was a commoner, and at the end of the Hundred Years' War, 1337 to 1453, against the Kingdom of England, she won the Battle of Orleans and turned the tide of war to France's advantage. Thanks to her miraculous performance, she contributed greatly to the victory of France in the Hundred Years' War and the expulsion of England from the continent. However, Joan of Arc herself was captured by the English army and for political reasons was not saved by her homeland France and was unfairly burned at the stake in the religious trial. After her death, she became a symbol of French patriotism, and her honor was restored through religious beatification and canonization. A famous Red Army sniper from Ukraine is Pavlyuchenko. In a short period of 10 months, she showed outstanding skills by killing 309 German soldiers, including 36 snipers. Because of these feats, she was also called Lady Death. At the time, Pavlyuchenko was a historian attending Kyiv University. Then in June 1941, when Germany invaded the Soviet Union, she volunteered to join the Red Army. Pavlyuchenko was an intelligent college graduate. The military thought that it would be difficult to fight on the front line as a woman, so they offered her a nursing job. However, she had hoped that she would be assigned to a rifle corps by showing the diploma in shooting that she had received at a shooting club in college. In the end, the military accepted her request, and after military training, she was given a sniper position, a remarkable achievement. In this way, women from all over the world are actively participating in the military, and their performances are remarkable. In the future, women's participation in the military will increase with the advent of the age of advanced weapons, in which battles must be fought using devices, such as computers that require dexterity rather than battles using physical strength.